So Luke Littler is now the World Darts Champion at just 17 years old, over £1 million in prize money, $500,000 just for that one tournament, on top of everything else he's done this year. And the question I'm seeing a lot today is, what is Luke Littler's net worth? Now, this is something that's really hard to answer. I can give you an estimate, a guess, but that will be mostly what it is. What I can do from you today is I can give you a player's perspective, a little bit of insight into the industry to give you an idea of where or how he may be earning some of these big bucks. First thing to do, though, is to have a look at what the net worth actually is. And this is why it's pretty much impossible to do unless you know the personal circumstances. You add up the assets, you add up all the liabilities, subtract. It gets a little bit tricky. It's easy if you know all the numbers, but we don't, which makes it pretty much impossible in this case. One thing we do know, though, is his prize money, what he's picked up in regards to PDC, 1.1 million in prize money. Now, you'll see that number, and it's actually more impressive than it looks, because that number there is your ranking money. He's actually won more than that. He's won money on the World Series, won money on the Premier League. Actually, prize money in total over the last sort of 12 months is more like 1.5 million. In fact, just over 1.5 million. So already we can see how this is adding up quite a lot to get to what the estimated value is, which I'm seeing numbers today suggesting £5 million for Luke Littler. Because when you look at prize money of 1.5, you're going to see that actually there's so many other ways to top up these earnings. And when you've got the name power that Luke does, it's going to add up quickly. So let's start our journey with royalties. First of all, understand what a royalty is. A royalty is basically where a product sells and you get a percentage of it. For example, if the Edgar dart sells, I will get a percentage of that depending what's in my contract. Now, this will happen with all products, whether it's a shirt, whether it's a case, whatever it is, you'll have a percentage against your contract, as well as a fee, but we'll get to fees in a minute with sponsorships. Now, when you look at Luke Littler, first of all, he's selling a lot of product within the darts world, a lot of shirts. We see loads of them at Ali Pali. We see lots of people using his darts. But it's not just that. Luke Littler is in a lot of mainstream stores. We see him in Smith's stores. We see him in B&M. We see him in places like Argos. And it's not just one set of darts. You've got the Luke Littler brass, we've got the Luke Littler magnetic board, we've got the Luke Littler darts and set, we've got the Luke Littler darts and cabinet, we've got different types of Luke Littler darts, range up to £100 there for his main darts. We've also got the Luke Littler 80% tungsten. We've then got cases and different, all loads and loads and loads of Luke Littler products, and that's just from that one store. There's also exclusives out there from the mainstream. Now, when you think about these stores will have them in stock in the shops, and they will also have them available for online purchase as well. So when you think of the volume that is being sold, when Argos put an order in for darts, they're not just putting in 10 sets, or they're not putting in 100 sets. That these are going to be in big quantities, which is going to mean big paydays. You may remember I've got some videos on here of when we talked with various players, Glen Durrant being one of the people that came on and talked about the finances, and when he talked about the royalties he was getting when he was in the Premier Leagues, eye-watering numbers. I'll link that video down in the video description for this one if you want to go check that out. Imagine what Luke's doing, whose profile is eclipsing that of the sport right now. Now, what I would say is I reckon when you combine royalties with sponsorship, I think we're going to have a situation here where Luke Littler is earning just as much in them categories as he has in the prize money, and we already know that's 1.5 million. So as well as your royalties, you've got your sponsorship, which is another area. This is an advertisement, and you'll see here Luke Littler got some serious advertisements here for the World Championships this year. We've got KP Nuts on the sleeve, and possibly one of the biggest blue chip sponsors we've ever had within the sport, Xbox, you'll see there on his chest, as well as Boohoo Man and many other people that have wanted to work with Luke Littler over the years. I can guarantee you they're paying a pretty penny. Not only that, his sponsor Target will also be paying a retainer for him, and there are articles out there after last year's World Championship when Luke Littler reached the final that suggest Luke Littler has signed the most lucrative, the most expensive darts manufacturer's deal in the history of the sport. And I can imagine when those royalties are on, again, eye-watering numbers. One of the most common ways that professional dart players have picked up money throughout the years as little side incomes is exhibitions. Now, this is where they used to come to your local pub and take on your locals, and you'd play them, or you'd go into raffles for the opportunity to play the player. Nowadays, it tends to be players get together and they take each other on in big events on stages, almost like mini shows. And Luke Littler, as you can see, booked for many, many dates across the year. I can guarantee you, from what I've heard, he is not a cheap player to get hold of. When we're talking about this, we're talking thousands. I'm not going to give the exact numbers in regards to what I've heard into what it costs to get Luke Littler for a night, but I can tell you it's going to set you back a few quid. But on these nights, Luke Littler will go along, he'll sign autographs, you can have photos with him, you can meet and greet depending on the ticket that you purchase for the night. So really good evenings, really good opportunities, but a great opportunity as well here for Luke Littler to top up his yearly earnings. Social media is a major part of the modern world and a great opportunity for people to earn serious livings in the world these days. And Luke Littler wasted no time in hooking up with some of the biggest streamers, some of the biggest gamers in the world, something Luke is very passionate about himself, a big fan of the computer games, certainly the FIFA, hooking up with the likes of Angry Ginger and Pieface and the Sidemen for a bit of advertisement work as well, working alongside some of social media's giants, which is only going to be lucrative in regards to sponsorship opportunities, advertisement opportunities, and those sort of ad revenue opportunities within the social media world. Luke Littler is the most followed dart player that's ever existed, eclipsing that of Phil Taylor, the 16-time world champion, who he surpassed during his first world championship, and ever since has just been getting bigger and bigger within the social media platform, to the point now he is followed by millions. And not just followed by millions, he's been seen by millions. The Young Sports Personality of the Year and the runner-up for the Sports Personality of the Year, Luke Littler, and also seen on mainstream shows such as Jonathan Ross. He's going to be on League of Their Own. He was on the launch of Bullseye. Seen by millions means making millions, and that's what Luke Littler's been doing throughout the year. So a couple of ways there, and other ways that Luke Littler would have been picking up revenue throughout this year. So it's not just the 1.5 million in prize money. We could probably triple that, maybe more, which I think, if that is the case, that prediction that I've seen at 5 million is probably about right, but a rising stock that is going to probably be a lot more than 5 million in 2025. A little bit of insight there for you if you do like getting a little bit of a behind the curtain look to what's going on the other side of the world of darts. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I'll catch you soon for some more Edgar TV.